I'm Barbara Dawson, and it's my pleasure to welcome up Deborah with Same Seed, New Soil, Different Soil. Same Seed, Different Soil, where she helps young people find the right place to plant themselves in a job. So it's my delight to introduce Deborah. Please give her a round of applause.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Barbara. I appreciate you stepping in for JJ. I know the stress of getting stuck in traffic, so I had told one of my friends here that I was being very intentional about making sure I got here early so I wouldn't get stuck in traffic, and you can see that I succeeded. So that's a good start to the day right there. Thank you all very much for being here and listening to my presentation. I'm looking forward to the feedback that I can get from all of you. I spent many years in corporate healthcare, pardon me, and in January of this year, I started Same Seed, Different Soil. The intent was to help take young adults, 18 to 24, and help them find their path so that they could get into a career that not only provides a support for them, but also helps us start to change the trajectory of New Mexico in terms of being able to have individuals who can come to work, do the good things, move up in the company, do something good for themselves while also supporting what we need in the community. This is our mission statement. I'm not going to read it to you, but the idea that I came to was being in the corporate healthcare space. We frequently brought in young individuals that did not have the skills necessary to be able to make it in the workspace. They didn't know how to interact with other people. They don't know how to take feedback. They don't know how to give feedback, and difficulty communicating with people in person. So the whole idea was to provide some coaching to help them deal with their limiting thoughts and beliefs that prevent them from moving forward, but also providing them with skills, hard skills that they need to survive in the workspace, that they're not getting in school and they're not getting at home. So I don't feel that the parents are uncaring or not wanting the best for their kids. I think they're busy. I think a lot of the parents are working more than one job, and they just don't have the time and the space to be able to do that work. And it's not being done in the schools anymore either. So the problems, as I said, is that we have kids coming into the workforce, young adults, 18 to 24, that don't know how to get along in the works, and they don't have any viable career path. Oftentimes, kids are coming out of high school without the ability to sustain themselves in a college environment as well. So even if they're on that path, many of them will fail the first semester. Then they lose their scholarship, which was their free path to get the education that they needed. And now, because they lost their scholarship, they have to pay back that first semester. So now they've got debt, they have no skill, they have no education, and they're stuck. So they go to work at a fast food place or a convenience store, something that they can get hired on quickly, but oftentimes they are unable to even sustain working in that environment because they still don't have the skills to get along. There is a disconnect between what we need in the workforce and what the kids are prepared for. As I said before, parents, school system, not preparing them for everything they need to be able to be successful in the real world. And then all of our local employers are really, really struggling. The turnover rates in many of the areas above 35%, which is an astronomical turnover rate. And I've been talking to some people at the county, and they have a particular division of individuals that they bring in for internships and then try to hire them. And their turnover rate is over 80%. So there's a real problem there. So that causes problems for the employers because they have this revolving door of people coming in and leaving, people coming in and leaving. And it's very, very expensive to have that kind of turnover rate. It's also demoralizing for the individual who can't stay and they get fired. And one of the other unique things, and I don't know that this is something that's unique to New Mexico or if this is everywhere, but there's a lot of concern about the company, on the company side, about being sued. So if they have to fire somebody because they can't do whatever it is they need to do, and they fire me, and Laura calls to verify my employment with my previous employer. My previous employer is not going to tell them that they fired me. They're going to tell them what my start date was, what my end date was, and they may share what my ending salary was. And that's it. So Laura hires me. I have the same problems I had when I worked for company A over here, which has now become Lauren's problem because I didn't learn anything. And so she ends up having the same problem, and then she fires me. And then on and on and on, because nobody can share that information. So that becomes very problematic for the employers as well. So the approach is to provide coaching to each of the kids. We provide assessments when they come in, and we do 2 different assessments. One assessment is to look at what drives them. That helps us figure out if you are an outgoing, gregarious person, and you come in and you say, I want to be a data entry clerk. You're probably not going to be happy in 5 years. You're probably not going to be happy in 5 months because that job is not a good fit for you. So then we go into why is it that you think you want to be a data entry clerk, and figure out what those reasons might be. But figuring out what it is that drives them helps them understand what is in me matches what I'm looking for in this career. Second part of the assessment is looking at what am I capable of doing? I want to be a rocket scientist, but I can't pass math and science classes. So my job as a coach is not to tell them you can't be a rocket scientist. My job is to help them look at that and say, okay, there's a gap here. How do we close that gap between what it is you think you want to do and what it is you're trying to get at? And are you willing to do that? And if so, then let's get you on that path so that you can be a rocket scientist. If not, then again, we go back into looking at what is it that makes you want to be a rocket scientist? It's like, oh, everybody in your family is a rocket scientist, but is that really what you want to do? So getting to the crux of what it is they want to do and what they're qualified for. The career navigation piece is looking at, if you want to stay in this area, which I really do want, that's what my goal is when I'm working with these kids, is to try to keep them here. Keep the talented individuals here. We all know that if there are individuals that are talented, a lot of times they are heavily recruited to go to out-of-state colleges, and then they never come back. So we lose that talent. We want to keep some of that here, but we have to create the environment that makes it a place that they want to stay. So making sure that we have the jobs that match what they want to do, and then that they have the qualifications to do the job. The second part of the program is getting them exposed to people who are already in the position that they're looking for. If they say, I'm going to be a rocket scientist, and I want to introduce them to a rocket scientist, and they have to go in and they interview them. They have to come up with their own interview questions, and they're looking at what is the day in the life like, so that they get a real perspective of what it's like to be a rocket scientist. And then we have additional discussions about whether they want to do that or not. I have a student that I'm working with right now. She wanted to be a doctor. She was convinced she wanted to be a doctor. Her dad wants her to be a doctor. So we got her introduced to a doctor, start talking through all of the processes. She finds out it's going to be 10 years before she can actually be a doctor. And she's going to come out of school with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and waiting 10 years to actually be able to do what it is she wants to do. And her real goal is that she wants to be able to support her mom. She wants her mom to be able to be free to be the person she wants to be, which she has not been able to do because of cultural situations, but she feels like she's in a position to help her. She's like, I can't wait 10 years. My mom doesn't have 10 years. So we're going down another path with her now, but she wouldn't have known that without going through that process of talking to somebody who's actually doing the thing. And then the self-awareness and skills building is the final piece of the program, is really helping them understand who they are, what is it I want, who am I in the world, and then giving them the skills that they need to be able to survive and work world. So the thing that makes us different than some of the other programs is really combining the combination of the coaching and the skills building. There's programs out there that do one or the other, but there aren't many that do it together. So my goal is to make sure that we bring all those pieces together so that we have the ability to help them tackle both things, because we are homogenous human beings and we need both. We don't just need one or the other. And they could potentially get it if they went to this program and this program, but it's a little bit harder to integrate those if it's not in one place. So the And again, the idea is that if we can help these individuals, then we build a better New Mexico. We have people that stay here, and I have a real desire, personal desire for this to be successful because I'm getting older. And I want to be able to hand things off to another generation at some point in the near future. And I want them to be qualified. I want them to be successful in doing that because I'm going to depend on them because I want to just step off and work in my yard. There's a whole lot of information on this slide, but the challenges that I'm running into is that I can't find funding. Everybody that I talk to, when I share this idea, everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is a fantastic idea, which is what I thought too when I quit my job. And I was like, this is a fantastic idea. We have to do this. I'm the one to do this. The ideas that I have for funding it have not worked. I'm 6 months into this and it's not going the direction that I thought it was going to in terms of being able to find the funding I thought I was going to get. There are some, I'm not a nonprofit, and I made an intentional decision to not pursue being a nonprofit because it's a lot of work. It's only me, and I will spend all my time trying to build the nonprofit. And so instead, I found a fiscal sponsor, which is an existing nonprofit that can accept grants on my behalf. I have to pay them a fee, and I'll still be able to get grants that way. But as of yet, I've not found any grants to help support this. The other ideas that I'm trying to explore right now is working with employer groups. Since I can't guarantee that the kids that I'm going to be working with would actually go to work for that company, it makes it risky for them to take that on. They could say, yes, I'm going to help you, I'm going to support this, but then the kid doesn't come to work for them. So they really haven't gained anything from it unless they're just very altruistic and they want to help with the problem. The other things that we're looking into is working with the schools and trying to find out if there's a way for the school to support it, because I truly believe if this is successful in the long term, I will work myself out of business and everyone will understand this belongs to the school, not with me outside at 18 years old. We should be doing this while the kids are in school so that they get this education throughout the last 8-10 years of their formal education. So when they come out, they have those skills already. And I want to work myself out of business. I want everybody to see, oh my gosh, this is a great idea. We should do this in the schools. And then I help find a way to put it back to the school where it belongs. But in the short term, finding a partnership with them may be a solution. And then social enterprise models. There are models where there are big funders, the Gates Foundation, Oprah, Dolly Parton, different people who have a lot of money who want to do good things, put it towards things that they think are going to, make a difference in different communities. That's another opportunity to try. And then State Workforce Solutions also has money to provide internships and training. So I'm looking into a partnership with them. And then also, I think I mentioned earlier, I've been talking to some folks at the county about maybe helping doing some training and skills building for some of their interns that come in so that they're able to keep them in there. So if you were in my shoes, you woke up this morning and you were, depending on your gender, you're not dressed like this, but you're wearing whatever you're wearing and you're standing up here and you're giving this presentation trying to think about what should I do next. I want everybody to share with me any ideas they have. I know that from speaking with different individuals, when I talk to people, they see things that I don't see. I am so deep into this. And as I said, I quit my corporate career to go do this with this idea. I am going here. And then I was like, oh, no, you're not. There are, all kinds of barriers. It's not going to work. So I am looking for other paths. And I'm hoping somebody in this room says, oh my gosh, I have the perfect solution for you. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. If you have experience in designing and finding models that work for this, I want to talk to you as well. And finally, I would say this is not just about what I think or what I want. You're all part of the New Mexico community. So you may have the solution to this. And then you become my partner. And then I say later, oh my gosh, I was starting down this path and then, Laura came up with the solution and here we are. It worked. The vision for growth is that I want to be able to serve 5,000 kids per year, which means I have to grow the program substantially. It can't just be me. I need to be able to hire other coaches, other mentors. I would like to have 50 employer groups that I'm actively working with. So that gives kids a lot of opportunity for different places to go, different career opportunities. I would like to be able to have this expand outside of Albuquerque. The problems that we're talking about are not just in Albuquerque, and they're really not just in New Mexico. But for now, I'll settle for working in Albuquerque and New Mexico. And then a new standard for how we help kids get into jobs and get the skills that they need and going back into schools. Like I said, if I'm successful at this, I have worked myself out of a job, and same seed different soil will cease to exist, and I'll die happy. And that's it. My contact information is on there, and I welcome your questions. Thank you very much.
It's a wonderful presentation. I was watching. I was studying, so I've been watching on my way here. Great presentation. So we have two questions for you. First question: what is one thing that this community can do for you today? Sorry, I am so off. We're gonna open up 2 questions, and then I will close with 2 questions.
So JJ, what you do? I'm Paul with Equity. So it's when I hear your presentation, you say this belongs in schools. It is in schools, but it's not in all the schools. So if you go to Albuquerque Academy or Sandia Prep, boy, is it ever in the schools. Those people are groomed, and when they go home, their parents understand how they're going to get in college and how they're going to build a career. And as you go down the income scale, the services are less and less. So it looks like your problem is, finding a way to find money to fund those things for the people who aren't getting that advice. And some of that advice is extremely easy to give, and it is not being given. So I'm going to take an example from the University of New Mexico, where I taught for a while. And I also, one of my other positions was I was faculty of the medical school. So I interviewed a lot of medical students. I know what it takes to get into med school. And so at the University of New Mexico, they tell biology majors, follow your dreams. And 80% of them call themselves pre-meds, but they're only pre-meds if they get in. And no one tells them that you can have a 4.0 and you're not going to get into med school because you didn't shadow a physician, you didn't do any community service, and nobody cares, right? And no one will tell them that. I mean, it took me 30 seconds to tell you, right? And so they get to their senior year and they go, nothing, right? So there are a lot of places where people fall through the cracks because nobody's responsible for that university-wide or school-wide, or there's no resources. So your challenge is to try to find the opportunities, and of the things you posted, I think working with employers has been most about. So that's just a one comment.
Thank you very much. I agree with you totally. And it's all about money. The schools that he mentioned are all private schools, and they're funded by parents who have the money to put their kids in that position so that they get that education at a purchase price. The kids that are in school outside of it don't have that. So if there's money available, then same seed, different soil could provide that service for them so that everybody has access to it. And I'm a firm believer that our state has units and confidence of money, but getting connected to it is not easy.
Good luck.
Thank you very much, Paul.
So Deborah?
Miriam Ortiz-Pino, More Than Organized. I love your idea. I once got fired from a job in San Francisco, and the state required certain jobs had to go through outsourcing if you laid them off. And so I was exposed to an outsourcing service that does just what you do, that helped me figure out how to match what I was good at to what I wanted to do. Turns out I'm unemployable, but it was a good instinct. Yes. But having said that, I mean, that program was great. So you might want to look at outsourcing specific models for funding, because I think, I mean, in California, there was a weird requirement for certain jobs, but you could also just join it, the outsourcing thing, and then you used it like a library while you were job hunting. And so that was kind of cool. Second thought, in the schools, when I was in high school, there was DECA and the whole entrepreneur thing. I think it's pretty much gone by the wayside, but there may be some funding models for that as well, or entry. You didn't talk at all about the money that it costs the people to do the training and the rehiring and not know all the details. And so maybe talking about how you can save them money in the long run and have the companies pay for it, or groups of companies like Old Town Merchants Association, or, you know, some little ones. And then my last thought would be, if you have some students that can pay, like from Manzano or from Bosque or Academy or whatever, then they could also sponsor a more disadvantaged person. But that would be my thing, and I'm happy to talk about any of my personal experiences with that program, but it was fantastic. And if anyone else ever gone through outsourcing or career placement stuff? Anyway, they do a combo funding, so.
Thank you very much for that. Those are not things that I had thought of.
First, I'm Mike McDonald. I'm retired engineer at Sandia. And I actually started coming to Million Cups kind of because of the same issue that you had, and it was out of a curiosity. The curiosity was, how does somebody run a business, an environment where the culture is as you described it? Because I grew up in a culture that was somewhat different, right? And that there was more of a culture of from the Industrial Revolution, which kind of escaped here. So I completely empathize with what you're saying. You need to have exposure, you need to have people interested and knowledgeable. And if parents haven't ever experienced things, then their children will have a hard time. They'll have a hard time passing that on. At the same time, I mean, that's the great big problem, and that's kind of where you're focused on, is this big problem. But there's also this problem of running a sustainable business. And you said, well, my goal is to get to 5,000 students. I go, oh, well, that's really tractable. Because like I can take that, if I take what Paul described as, we have the elite schools and the elite people, and then you have but you can move down as you move into public schools, like the people that are in special ed or that are higher more into their class, people that hire tutors for their children, people that do things. If you were to look at that swatch, you could probably find yourself a loop that you would hire out more like a tutoring service, but it was not a life coaching, but a life tutoring services.
Just looking at that one, sitting here, teen year studies.
Right. Well, that one's definitely a very applied kind of system. It's amazing. And so it does seem to me that if you were to do something like that was in a tractable place in that part of the business, then you could get some traction, and then you could move into these other areas. Like, wow, everybody needs this tutoring. The APS will say, hey, here's successful career tutoring, and we can move forward. So that would be my suggestion to you, is to instead of trying to boil the ocean, as we say, to get that hot cup of tea, you should find the nice water, cook that, and then make yourself a cup of tea.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that.
We actually have one online. Aaron asked, what is your favorite part of serving the children of New Mexico?
Probably the best thing is the enthusiasm. I think some of you have been here when Solomon was presenting a couple of weeks ago. And that's what I want for everybody. I mean, he just is a go-getter. He's fantastic. And seeing that excitement and enthusiasm, and the same thing with the kids that I'm working with, it's kind of like that aha, lights go on when they're like, oh, no, I really don't want to be a doctor. And thank you for saving me 10 years, right? Because I would have gone down that path thinking that's what I wanted to do. So I think my favorite part is knowing that the contact with them, the information that we're sharing, the skills that they're getting really is going to have the potential to change their life.
Oh, what an amazing human being you are.
Hi, Deborah. Thanks for your presentation. I'm Erin McQuaid Wright with Vitalist Coaching. And I'm glad you're getting so many questions and about the business side of it, because mine is a curiosity about how you do what, and you just spoke about it. It's idea of just what I think I should do. It's I so didn't have anything like that when I was a young person. And so I'm curious, how to help them tap into that inner knowing that's not a voice of what the teacher says, what the parents say, but it's what they think themselves that they should do.
Thank you very much for that question. I think one of the key things, and I work really hard to not step into the role of I'm a parent, I'm an advisor type of situation, because they have enough of that already. They have their teachers telling them what to do, they have society telling them what to do, they have Instagram telling them what to do. So really partnering with them as an equal so that they have an opportunity to express what it is they think they want. And then using the coaching skills to help them see what it takes to get there. Because I do think that, and I think this is true of kids this age in all generations. I don't think that this is something that's just happening now. I know when I was 18 years old, I thought I knew it all. I didn't need anybody to tell me anything. So helping them use their critical thinking skills when they say, I want to be a rocket scientist. It's like, okay, let's look at where you're at. And then having them get the aha, oh, rocket scientists need A's in science and math. I don't have that. Instead of telling them that you're not going to get there. So, it really is that coaching skill, letting them come to that realization on their own by asking good questions and helping them get there so that it really does resonate with them. And it's not somebody telling them, they realize it on their own. And once they realize it on their own, they know it. And that just starts the ball rolling on them knowing, see, opens that door. And the really great thing about young people in that age range is their brains are still forming. They're able to take in new information. They're very flexible in the way that they take information and then produce something on the other side. So I would say that's powerful. Thank you. Thank you. I felt you could go on like.
Oh, sorry. I'm Danielle with Conscious Crossroads End of Life Services. I'm a life guide. That's you. My husband is a recruiter. So he works for Robert Half. And so people often call me into his home office to say, hey, come check out this resume. And I recently saw one with a football photo attached on the front of the resume in his jersey. And his email address was blazeit up420 at Gmail. So maybe he could have used your services. So just recently had a young guy that just graduated, and his response was, I feel like it's just going to be all work. I'm going to pass. And so I think that partnering somehow with staffing agencies, with recruitment agencies who are constantly looking for talent, and we're constantly coaching through these exact issues, may be a great kind of in. And they may be able to help you somehow along the lines of funding with stuff, because they're wasting tons of time and money for these things. So contact info, I'm most definitely going to pass it along to my husband. But yeah, if that's your email, so.
Yes, as part of the work that I was doing, I was going out and meeting with different individual companies to try to establish relationships at places where I could take kids for possible internships and interviewing people. And there was a young man who started a tech company, works exclusively with the Department of Defense. And he said, I've got these graduates coming in for job interviews and flip-flops, jeans full of holes, t-shirts that look like they've slept in it for a week. They're like, dude, I'm your man. And he's like, but they don't get it. He said, and they don't get it. They don't understand why he doesn't want to move forward. So they just don't, they haven't been taught that skill. That's all it is. They haven't been taught the skill of what that is. So that's perfect. So thank you very much for this.
very good goal. I don't have enough. Your team is, how many people are working with you? And nonprofit that you partner with, that's a great idea. If you had found one, I would have offered my nonprofit. But yeah, just answer those questions and I will answer.
My team is myself and my VA Rose. That's all there is. So there's money to hire some more people. It's just me and her.
Nonprofit.
Oh, the nonprofit that I'm working with is Waves Behavioral Health. Waves Behavioral Health.
Live for these waves. And sometimes you're up. That's really good. But you gotta know you're gonna dip. So, and you know there's another crest coming. So back to big goal, expand your team with some volunteers. And are people that have a lot of smarts, like let's see, a bunch in this room, but people that are invested in that. And then also some of the if you multiply where instead of one-on-one coaching, you get them in a group, then they're going to feed off of each other and might plant a decoy in the group, comes in dressed, ready to apply for a job, or at least have a photo of what one looks like. But with group, they feed off of each other, their ideas, just it's like you're getting
Just
right
like
now. I got ideas from earlier. The training program, how long do they stay? Is it every day? Are they paid? Is it strictly volunteer? And then I'll just jump on the rest of it. For recruiting, I see these guys in the scout uniforms. That's prime. Those guys already have discipline. They already know how to dress, present themselves. They got that training, so they're launched. They don't have as far to jump as step up. And then the big employers, P&M, Sandia, hearing them, but they have philanthropic arms or 501c3s within their organization. And they also have a huge resource for me. Oh. Also, there's an AmeriCorps program. A lot of volunteers on their board.
The existing program may be going on up here.
So there's sources. Fresh talent.
Thank you very much, Franklin. I appreciate that.
Morning. With the chat with Comunicaciones Publicali, recently the folks at AmeriCorps said, yes, we were able to pay for our annual campaign. But stop running the ads. There's nobody to help. Yep. I don't understand the price model. I'm not sure quite yet that I need to. I agree with some of the comments about goals. I think they at least need to be timed. 5,000 kids in a year when you're all by yourself. I started dividing that by 365 and stopped. And I was curious, talking about describing kids first coming into the marketplace. I know 30-year-olds who have been slipping from job to job to job to job, thinking that their hard work ethic is going to.
I really am focusing on that 18 to 24-year-old age, specifically because they're now adults by law, whether they act like it or not. They're considered adults, so they can make adult decisions for themselves. And 24 is kind of the tap out range where some of that mental flexibility starts to go away. And so I'm really focusing on that group. Not that I wouldn't help a 30-year-old if they came to me, but I really wouldn't stay in that age.
And then, we talked a little bit about scouts. I was thinking of the center. Provide that kind of support, so that could be the place. But it made me think of the other end of the spectrum. What about kids on IEPs, individualized education plans, out of the special ed program? There might be some federal funding to help with that. And then, are there any human resource associations that you should? Okay, good. You're already on that. And have you talked to folks at Teamers?
No, I just saw that this morning. I've been here a bunch of times, so I just happened to look up and it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
should look at that
for sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Thank you, Ken. Ken's always helping. We're talking about this part of the year. Suggestion is to go back to your fiscal sponsor. Define specifically what you want funded. How would you maintain your business? That's what you're doing. And just as a former. Because those special needs from up to 18 to 24 general people assistance and a severe should work with you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Deborah.
Deborah will count Brandy Titans. Yeah, I'm super excited about your service. I had two kids that went through a very similar situation in Southern California, and one did 5 years of school in 3.5. She was so focused, and the other one took 6-7 years to figure out what he wanted to do. And the leadership and the direction opportunities that you bring to the table are tremendously needed. And outside of the grant and the partnership ideas that have been recommended, there's a ton of money available for what you do. There really is, even in the private sector. And I can see the connections and the value, because it's really easy to quantify what you do to the bottom line of a small business.
So why do I do what I do? I have lived in New Mexico since I was about 4 or 5 years old. And if you have the opportunity to go to my website, you'll see some of the information that I shared there is that I think New Mexico is a really special place. I have the opportunity to travel a lot. And every time I come back home, I am just enthralled with our beautiful blue skies, enthralled with how friendly people are here. How much people, I live down in the South Valley, and I mean, people you don't even know, if your car breaks down, they'll pull over somebody to fix it, they'll tow it to your house, they'll bring you a burrito. I mean, the people here are really, really good, and you don't find that in a lot of places. So I do this because I'm worried about New Mexico. We are the last in everything, which I didn't talk about in my presentation because I didn't want to focus on that, but that is a reality. We're 50th place in everything, and I don't want that anymore. Not just out of pride for myself, but for our community. New Mexico could be a really, you know, and it just needs a little TLC. So that's why I do.
I agree with that. I've moved here 2 years ago, and I found out the end of last year that Mexico's 50th in a lot. Like, this isn't gonna stay the same. So I want to share something because that I haven't done before, but I heard you say this in your presentation. That's a why. So the whys that I heard, like your personal why, is you want to step out and work more in your yard. And then teaching or to teach this in schools to prep the kids. And turning that into, and what you just said about why, into something that you don't have to say every day, but people can consume every day. And you can reach out through whatever medium you can get in front of the small business owners. Get them connected because they're small business owners and they feel the same as we do about being in last. Can't find it. Thanks. Great presentation.
So, Ken Jackson, City of Albuquerque, I don't matter. Okay?
Yeah,
Here's the thing, that I heard. Your product, to me, should be targeting the kids. Your business should be targeting the parents that pay the money. Okay, does that make sense? So a lot of ideas are, okay, do this with your product and talking about the kids or the business side of it, but if you can leverage the product for the kids, but the business for the parents, I think a mindset shift could be beneficial. Does that make sense? Yeah. The other thing is, I was thinking about Velcro puppy sales. So Velcro, yeah. They captured the leaders. So who are the key kids that you've already helped that can help you sell the product to other kids? And if you can find those are the ones I believe that you should take with you to places, right? So when you go to school, you're not going by yourself because you're selling the product, right? The product is the kid. Take a kid with you to represent what they want. Does that make sense? To me, that's a good way to get your name free and then spread the word. So leveraging the leaders, meaning the kids and what they learn, or have them provide testimonials as well. Does that make sense? Yeah. So anything I can do to help out with that and out the next 15 years as well. Okay. But that's just what I heard is how can you sell the actual business to the parents? And as far as pricing, what is, if I want to run my kid through your process, what does that cost?
$2,634.
Okay, so then we have an amount. Okay, and then the total amount, I was called my agreement, that's your freedom. So then, but to me, can we start utilizing the product for the kids and taking the kids with and capturing those leaders, letting those leaders do the selling for you. That way now you're out of the picture, which is really what you want, right?
Great,
Cool.
absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And I would think that maybe taking the kids to the businesses.
Absolutely,
well,
right? Leverage what you've
Right.
already done.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I haven't thought of that. Thank you. Okay. How are we doing on time?
We're
Are we way over? Oh, we're okay. Okay.
What a great community.
Right? Great. That's so exciting with my questions.
Yeah, I love the way that it engages and puts our minds together, to find solutions for people. So with that in mind, what's one thing that this community
you've heard me say something that triggers, somebody that I should talk to, then use my contact information and send that to me, and that would be great, and I'll take that next step.
And then, the New Mexico question, red or green?
I was worried about this one, so. Even though I've lived in the next county, small,
This is only 50%.
I am a wimp, and so I don't like children. I can't even choose salmon duck in such. So, sorry, okay. But I love the wedding. So
Have you applied for your exception stats?
Well, thank you so much. We look forward to hearing from you and your business 6 months. Maybe a recap and see how you've grown over that time. With that, we'll turn it over to Paul.
Thank you very much.